The gavel hit the bench like a rifle shot. Not loud, just sharp enough to cut through the whispers rippling through the gallery. My sister-in-law Amanda sat 3 rows behind the plaintiff's table, her designer handbag worth more than 6 months of my salary. She was whispering to my brother's new wife, both of them staring at the photograph projected on the screen. In the photo, I'm wearing yellow rubber gloves. My hair is pulled back in a messy bun. I'm on my knees scrubbing a baseboard with a toothbrush. I look exactly like what they want me to be, a failure, a woman who couldn't make it, a glorified janitor fighting above her weight class. What they don't know, what none of them know, is that I've been sitting in this freezing Connecticut courtroom for 3 months in total silence, waiting for this exact moment. No defense, no explanation, no reaction. Just watching them march straight into the kill zone, I've been preparing since the day my father died. My name is Lieutenant Colonel Rebecca Hayes, United States Army. I'm 38 years old. And this is the story of how my brother tried to steal a $9 million military legacy, and how I used every tactical lesson I'd learned in 20 years of service to make sure he lost everything. The courtroom smelled like old wood polish and desperation. Cold, sterile, the kind of place where truth goes to die under expensive lies. I sat at the defendant's table in a navy blue pantsuit from Target. No jewelry, no makeup, hair pulled back in the same messy bun from the photograph. I looked exactly like what I was supposed to be, overwhelmed, outmatched, already beaten. My attorney, Sarah Chen, sat beside me with a leather briefcase so worn the corners were white. She'd been taking notes for 2 hours, her pen scratching against yellow legal pad paper with a sound like nails on concrete. Across from us, Marcus Hayes, my brother, sat next to his attorney like he'd already won. James Morrow, corporate litigation, $800 hour, the kind of lawyer who wore cufflinks that cost more than my monthly rent. Morrow stood up, his Italian shoes clicking against the tile floor with that particular rhythm of arrogance. "Your Honor," he said, his voice smooth as motor oil, "I'd like to enter Exhibit 17 into evidence." The screen flickered. There I was. Yellow gloves, bucket, toothbrush, on my knees in the hallway of my father's house, scrubbing grout like my life depended on it. The gallery stirred. Someone coughed. Amanda whispered something to the woman next to her. Both of them smiled. This photograph, Morrow continued, was taken 6 months before General Hayes passed away. The defendant, Ms. Rebecca Hayes, was employed as a private caregiver, essentially a cleaning woman earning $11 per hour. He paused for effect. Let the word hang there like a noose. $11 per hour, Your Honor. To care for a decorated 3-star general with a $9 million estate. And now she claims she's qualified to serve as the sole executor of that estate. He turned to face the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a woman who couldn't hold down a real job, who spent the prime of her career scrubbing toilets, who isolated a vulnerable elderly man in his final months and manipulated him into signing a will that disinherited his only son. I didn't move. Didn't blink. I sat with my spine fused straight, my hands flat on my thighs, exactly as I'd been trained. I wasn't a cleaning woman right now. I was a battalion commander in hostile territory. And James Morrow was an enemy combatant who just walked into an ambush he didn't even know I'd set. The perfume hit me before I saw her. Chanel No. 5, heavy, expensive, the kind of scent that sticks in your throat. Amanda was wearing it. She'd been wearing it since she married my brother 5 years ago. But it wasn't her perfume that made my chest tighten. It was the memory it dragged up. The same smell, different woman, different lifetime. 20 years ago. 1998, Fort Bragg, North Carolina. I was 18 years old. Fresh out of basic training, newly commissioned through ROTC. My father, General Thomas Hayes, 3-star, 30 years of service, stood in my barracks room and told me I was making a mistake. Women don't belong in combat arms, he said. His voice was flat, factual, like he was reading from a manual. I'm going JAG, I said, Judge Advocate General, legal. Doesn't matter, you're putting a target on your back. I can handle it. He looked at me for a long moment. Then he sighed. Your mother would have been proud, he said quietly. My mother had died when I was 6, breast cancer, fast and brutal. After that, it was just me and my father and Marcus. My father raised us like soldiers. Discipline, structure, no excuses. Marcus hated it. I thrived. By the time I was 16, I could field strip an M16 in the dark. By 18, I was running 5 miles before breakfast and scoring expert on the rifle range. Marcus was different. He went to business school, got his MBA, married Amanda, a woman who wore Chanel No. 5 and looked at me like I was something she'd scraped off her shoe. And when my father got sick, Marcus was nowhere to be found. The call came on a Tuesday morning. I was at the Pentagon, reviewing logistics contracts for a supply chain operation in Eastern Europe. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. But something made me pick up. Colonel Hayes, a woman's voice, professional, clinical. Speaking. This is Dr. Morrison at Walter Reed. I'm calling about your father, General Hayes. My chest went cold. What happened? He collapsed this morning during physical therapy. We ran a full workup. I'm afraid the news isn't good. Pancreatic cancer, stage 4, already spread to the liver. 6 months, maybe less. I sat there in my Pentagon office, staring at the encrypted monitor in front of me, and felt the ground drop out from under me. I called Marcus. No answer. I called again. A voicemail. I left a message. Dad's dying, call me. He didn't call back for 3 days. I put in for compassionate reassignment that afternoon. The brass didn't like it. I was a rising star, logistics, JAG, security clearance, the kind of officer they needed in D.C. But I didn't care. My father had raised me, taught me, turned me into the soldier I'd become. And I wasn't going to let him die alone. They reassigned me to a supply depot in Connecticut, 40 minutes from my father's house. It was a career killer. A place where officers went to retire in place. But it was close enough. My father's house was a 2-story colonial in Litchfield County. White clapboard, black shutters, American flag on the porch. Inside, it smelled like antiseptic and old coffee. The cancer moved fast. Within 2 months, he couldn't walk without help. Within 3, he couldn't feed himself. I took leave. Then I quit the depot job entirely. Told them I needed to focus on family. They understood, sort of. I needed work that let me stay close, something flexible, something I could drop at a moment's notice. I found an ad online, private caregiver needed, $11 hour, flexible schedule. I took it. Not for the money. For the proximity. I could be home in 5 minutes if he needed me. The photograph Morrow showed in court was real. I was scrubbing baseboards with a toothbrush. Because my father's house had to be spotless, because the visiting nurses commented on cleanliness, because it was one of the few things I could still control. What the photograph didn't show was the rest of my life. The encrypted laptop in the spare bedroom, where I still reviewed classified logistics reports. The secure phone line I used to coordinate supply chains for active combat zones. The JAG certification I maintained even while I was on leave. I was still an officer. I just wasn't wearing the uniform. My father changed his will 3 weeks before he died. He didn't tell Marcus. He told me. We were sitting on the back porch, late summer, the cicadas screaming in the trees. "I'm leaving everything to you," he said. His voice was weak, raspy from the pain meds. "Hey, Dad." "Marcus doesn't need it. He's got Amanda. He's got his business. You're the one who stayed. He's your son. So are you, and you're the one who showed up." He handed me a manila envelope. Inside, a new will, notarized, witnessed. Everything to me, the house, the savings, the military pension trust. $9 million total. "Don't let him contest this," my father said. "He'll try, but don't let him win." 2 weeks later, my father died. The funeral was small. Military honors, 3-volley salute. Marcus showed up late. Amanda wore Chanel No. 5. The papers arrived 6 weeks after the funeral. Petition 2 contest WILL grounds, undue influence. Marcus was claiming I'd manipulated our father, isolated him, coerced him into changing the will. The evidence, the photograph of me scrubbing floors. The narrative, failed woman, desperate for money, preyed on vulnerable old man. I read the petition twice. Then I called Sarah Chen. "Can we win this?" I asked. "Depends. Do you have your military records?" "All of them." "Then yes, but it's going to get ugly." It did. For 3 months, I said nothing. Sarah advised silence. Let them build their case. Let them commit. So I sat through depositions where Morrow called me, the cleaning lady. Sat through hearings where Amanda testified I'd isolated my father from family. Sat through Marcus's tearful testimony about how I'd stolen his inheritance. I didn't defend myself. Didn't explain. Just sat there in my target suit, taking notes, looking exactly like what they wanted me to be. Overwhelmed, incompetent, already beaten. The trial lasted 5 days. Morrow spent 4 of them building his case. The photograph, the caregiver contract, the isolation narrative. He made me look pathetic. On day 5, Sarah stood up. "Your Honor," she said quietly, "the defense calls one witness. A name. Brigadier General Patricia Morrison, United States Army." The courtroom went still. Morrow frowned. Marcus leaned forward. General Morrison walked down the aisle in full dress uniform. Stars on her shoulders, ribbons across her chest. She didn't look at Marcus. She looked at me. Anne nodded. "General Morrison," Sarah said, "how do you know the defendant?" I was her commanding officer, for 6 years. Can you describe her military career? Morrison smiled. Colonel Rebecca Hayes is one of the finest officers I've ever had the privilege to serve with. JAG, logistics, top secret clearance. She coordinated supply chains for 3 active combat zones simultaneously, while most people can't manage their grocery lists. The gallery stirred. And during the time she was allegedly just a cleaning woman, what was she actually doing? She was on compassionate leave, maintaining her clearance, still consulting on classified logistics operations from her father's house. Sarah pulled out a folder. Olive drab, military issue. Your Honor, I'd like to enter Defense Exhibit 1, Colonel Hayes's service record. She handed it to the judge. Then to the jury. 20 years of service, commendations, deployments, Bronze Star, Meritorious Service Medal. The room went dead silent. Marcus's face drained of color. Morrow looked like he'd been shot. The defense rests, Sarah said. The jury deliberated for 40 minutes. Verdict in favor of defendant will upheld. Petition dismissed with prejudice. I walked out of that courtroom in my target suit. Marcus tried to stop me in the hallway. Becca, wait. I kept walking. I didn't know, he said. I swear I didn't know you were still. I stopped. Turned. Looked at my brother. You didn't ask, I said quietly. Then I walked away. 6 months later, I established the General Thomas Hayes Foundation. $9 million dedicated to military families. Scholarships, emergency funds, support services. The things my father cared about. The things Marcus never understood. I still live in Dad's house. Still work as a caregiver when families need it. Still wear yellow rubber gloves and scrub baseboards when necessary. Because the uniform doesn't make the soldier. The work does. And I learned from the best. They called me a cleaning lady. Showed a photograph of me on my knees scrubbing floors. Built an entire case around the idea that I was too incompetent, too desperate, too pathetic to deserve my father's legacy. Then a general walked into that courtroom and told them exactly who I was. I'm not a cleaning lady. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Rebecca Hayes, United States Army. 20 years of service. And my father knew exactly what he was doing when he left everything to the one child who actually showed up.